I am Dr. Timothy Thomas,
I am Dr. Shelissa Thomas,
and today,
aka Lisa Love.
Lisa Love. Picture it. Sicily, 1997. I am from NOLA, baby.
So the interesting thing about us is we're both from Louisiana. I'm from Alexandria, Louisiana, which is 3 hours away from New Orleans. And we met in Fairbanks, Alaska, is where it began. So how did I get to Alaska? I got there in 1993. I was there with another relationship prior. I spent 11 years of my life which was horrible. And so it took a lot for me. I learned some things in the process. That's a whole nother story. But I wasn't very trusting of men. I didn't even know if I liked men. I just wasn't very trusting. I was very naive. So I had some hard lessons to learn about life and love and relationships. And so here I am. I had ran for a little bit of my life from church because I was raised in a church, so I ran, and then my mom would ask me all the time, in 88, I think the years was 88 on down to 93 was I in church. And so to meet her quota, I was Catholic for 6 years. I loved it. You know what I loved about it? I was in church for 45 minutes.
45 minutes?
45 minutes. I can clock it.
Now I got to Alaska because I was in the military. And I too, when I got to Alaska, was in a different relationship. I got married young, I think when I was about 19 or whatever. And so about the time that I was getting to Alaska, I got to Alaska on March 19th of 1996. And it just so happens that relationship began to deteriorate about that time that I made it to Alaska. By the time we met in August of 1997, I was already going through the process of divorce. We were just waiting to basically to finalize that situation, which it was on December 31st. No, this is important.
Okay.
December 31st of 1997. So we met in August of 1997.
Wow. You remember that down to the T. Okay.
I did.
Our stories are unique because he was raised by his grandparents also.
Yeah. So my mom had me when she was 14. And so I guess, it was literally a baby having a baby. And so my grandmother just kind of, took over. And, my family nucleus, was very tight-knit. It was, I was the first grandchild in the house and the star of the family. Everybody knows that. And then, my uncle, my two aunts, my mom. I had a close-knit family dynamic, and it was a loving environment. At some point, my grandmother got reacquainted with somebody from her past, and she decided that she would leave New Orleans, and she moved to Detroit, Michigan. And so that is, another genesis. I moved there when I was about 5, and that is really where my formative years were spent, were in Detroit.
So are you really from Louisiana now?
I am. I'm still
Okay.
NOLA, you know what I'm saying? But I'm also 313,
Okay. So at 16 years old, I found out I was adopted.
How did you find that out?
This is how I found out. This is why you can't tell people the business, right? The neighbor across the street was a seamstress, and she was doing a shirt or something for me, fixing this shirt or whatever. All my life I went to Catholic school, so this is why I probably gravitated toward going to Catholic church at that, but we were raised Baptist. The neighbor told me, she said, something about your grandma needs to come and see if this is how she wants to call her. I didn't know my grandma. I said, I had a grandma, but at that time she had already died. So I didn't know what she was talking about. And she said, no, Ethel. And so I was like, Ethel's not my grandmother. Like, you already know this. So I went home and I told my mom, which is Ethel. that this Miss, I can't say the lady's name, but I told her what Miss Whatchacallum said. And my mom told me to sit down, and I was like, no, I want to go. You know, I go everywhere with her. But the way she left out immediately, I knew it was something, but I didn't know what it was because I still was a kid, you know. But it was serious. And, you know, a couple of years later, she told me what it was. It was hurtful because I had been around, you know, my mother and didn't really know that she was my mom. I thought she was my sister, you know, so that was kind of a shocker. So here I am in Alaska, and you know, I have friends in the church because I'm such a Christian, you know, singles ministry. I was all about it because me, Shelissa, did not know she wanted to get married. I wasn't really looking to get married because I had saw so many relationships growing up that I thought that this is something I didn't want. Like, I saw my aunts. Okay, so let me go back. My grandmother has a brother who would come visit us all the time. And the lady who was his mistress, I thought was my aunt. And then his wife, I thought was his mother. I saw a lot of that. I saw a lot of people, you, me, and he relationships, you know, so many, the adultery, the boyfriend on the side, the girlfriends on the side. So I was like, I didn't want it. Nobody was true to anybody. Nobody knew how to commit. Nobody really loved each other. So I really didn't know what love looked like, right? I dreamed about it because I always wanted to be rescued. I always wanted to be loved. I was in love with love. I remember I would have these dreams that when I meet my husband, we were holding hands and I could sense him and feel him, but I couldn't see his face, right? Which was fine because it probably would have freaked me out if I would have saw his face. So God knew what he was doing. He didn't think that I liked black men. But we're not even going to get into that.
So, I mean, it's interesting because, you know, at the point where we met, where everything converged, well, you know, we were kind of in a similar situation because for the fact that, you know, I was going through a situation where, you know, I was in a divorce and I basically had made some promises to myself that, like, the things that I brought out of that relationship, I was not going to carry into the next relationship. And so I had determined that I would rather be by myself. I didn't know how long that process was gonna be, but there was a lot of unpacking that I had to do to try to find myself again and to try to heal. So how did we meet? So we went. When I got to Alaska, I was basically on a journey of a new self-discovery. I too grew up in the church. I was. Look, I was a part of the Little Shepherd's Choir at Sardis Missionary Baptist Church in Detroit, Michigan. It just so happened that the couple that lived next door to us was a husband and wife ministry team. And so they befriended my grandmother and her husband, you know, and they basically kind of adopted me.
And you became a little
so yeah, it was me and Sister Blackman going all over the streets of Detroit in her Volkswagen Beetle, witnessing the people, praying for the sick and shut in, visiting elderly people, and me being the only one in a prayer meeting on Friday nights where there was a fish fry at Sister Thompson's house.
That is so amazing to us when we start talking about this, because he was armor bearing, you know, carrying Bibles for black ones. And here it is, my grandmother would have me going to, they called it the sick and shut in at that time. So I was going to all the hospitals. I was going to all the nursing homes with her. And before we even got there, we would make muffins or tea cakes. And then we would visit all the different people on the wings or different wings of the nursing home or the hospital. And we would pray. And then also at my grandmother's house, or my mom, they would have prayer meetings, and I would hear them pray, and I would be stuck in them. Like, I have to be there too. So here we are, we both go and serve we were taught to serve. We both were taught to serve. So jumping back to where I am in Alaska in 1993. So at some point in my life, I realized the relationship was too toxic and I needed to do something. I needed a way out because it was breaking me, breaking my spirit. 1994, I went to shelter. It was a hard decision, but I was always told also nobody would want me. I have 2 kids, nobody's gonna love me. And I really was believing this stuff and believing, that I couldn't do no better and I would never do any better, right? Went to the shelter in November and I got out in February. And I never looked back, never experienced lack. I was tenacious. And so I started going to a church in Fairbanks. I was at the church for 12 years. I never saw him, and I was in the tape ministry. I was in the picnic ministry. I was in the praise and worship team. I was in the ensemble.
No, you
I was
were
on
not.
the step team. I was in the children's church. I was in the nursery. I was in the social media. I was in the media. I recorded the prophecies and gave it to people. I recorded the message, put the label on it.
Yeah.
You could tell that we were in church for 8 hours.
Yeah, you were there. This was from like probably 98 on. You might have been involved in all of that. But from from June of 1996 until August of 1997, you took a hiatus from church apparently.
I never saw him. So there's no facts to what he's saying. He doesn't know this. This is hypothetical, right? I was in the same church he was in.
There's nothing hypothetical about it.
Anyway, carry on with my story. I never saw him. I saw him when I got to my friend's house, Maceo. And he answered the door. And I was like, who are you? And he asked.
I was like, who are you?
And I was like, where's Maceo? He said that he thought I was rude.
You were a tad bit obnoxious.
Perhaps. So we were both part of the single ministry. We were with these singles and we used to hang out. We were all Christians. We would play games like Uno. We would do spade. As a matter of fact, we were the best spade partners. We were like, we can read each other across the board. We didn't have to talk. Right? We were good. Like people would get mad when they play us because we were so good, right? I had been playing spade my whole life, even with my uncles. But when I met someone who wasn't in my family that could play spade with me, it was awesome.
I wasn't with the singles too much there. There was some cookouts and stuff like that where we started to hang out and stuff and we became friends, like group friends or whatever. And then it kind of evolved, you know.
And this is when he saw me ride a motorcycle, and this is when his little sparks in his head start turning. Oh my God, I think I need to know who she is more. It start sparking because he was like, oh my God, she can ride a motorcycle. Because he told me, you can't ride. And I said, what? Bruh, I've been riding motorcycles since I was little.
It wasn't, nah.
He rode with me, and he was like, I'm impressed. He told me I'm thoroughly impressed.
No, I was scared. But little did I know, later on in life, that the terror would be magnified.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, he was impressed. I've been riding 4-wheelers with my face covered up in a bandana to stop the nets from coming on, because we rode in the south in the dark. All kind of bugs hit you in your eyes and stuff, so you got to put the little mask on and roll, okay? So we're going on about our life, we're going to church, we're praising the Lord. We were really, truly friends. So I had a job. I worked in the judicial system. At one point, I was a juvenile probation officer. I did sentencing for the court system for kids, first-time offenders. And this is when I knew that he was like chasing me because I would change sites sometimes, depends on what job I was doing that day. And I would have these bouquet of flowers with a nice card, be encouraged, have a great day. And I was like, oh my gosh. And you know what's really interesting? I did not like flowers. And he was a flower man. He would always give me flowers. And I used to just hate it, be like, oh my gosh, can you stop?
You didn't hate it. Nobody don't hate that. But
I didn't like the flowers.
At any rate, what kind of flowers were these? Were these, you saying like these were symbols of some kind of obsession or whatever you trying to say.
Because I missed that message. If that's what you was doing.
This was.
But I know that he was chasing me though, because he would find me. You know, he was my friend. He truly was my friend because we would talk about some deep stuff. We would talk about life, and I liked that he was an intellectual person, and we could talk about real topics. And there was someone who could talk back with me, and it wasn't just on a low level.
Yeah.
Right. So I like that.
So yeah, this is all part of it. Like, love stories are not always like neat or go like in a straight line or whatever. But the basis of our love story is truly friendship.
Yes.
Like we were really friends.
We almost broke up as friends too.
Yeah, we did because.
We did. Wait a minute. You said yeah, we did.
We did. No, we did. I broke up. Because
it was over my head. See, that's how. Listen,
I broke up. Cause like if you're somebody's friend, like you got a friend, right? Follow me. You got a friend, and they calling you every day. Every day they got to talk to you. You know what you cooking? Yeah, what I'm cooking. Blah blah blah. You know what happened today? Blah blah blah. Then all of a sudden they just disappear, right? And then say somewhere down the line, 2-3 weeks, they pop up like, hey, like nothing ever changed. Like, have you ever been with somebody that's weird like that? Like kind of weird acting?
Okay,
yeah.
So what he's saying is, he's saying I would just drop off the face of the earth. Don't talk to him, don't answer his phone calls, and act like I don't know him when I see him. And so he tried to pull me aside at one of our church functions and was like, what's going on? And I was like, nothing. I'm fine. You fine? Hey, love you, Brother Tim. You know, did the church hug, little church hug, little side. And he was like, that's not working for me. It's not going to work. Are we friends or what? We're friends. And then I'm sitting there. I was like, is he trying to scold me on how much I talk to him? Dude, I'm busy. I was like, why are we having this conversation? And it didn't feel like a breakup. He said we broke up as friends. I didn't know it. Later on, he told me he wasn't going to talk to me ever again. I didn't know that then because it was over my head, because I was truly detached from like getting close to people like that. And so that was a problem. And she told me he didn't like that type of behavior, which I really did, sit down and take it in consideration. Okay, maybe I need to stop running or just avoiding or holding against whatever the past was, whatever the issue was. I took it into consideration, and I tried to make it at least once a week phone call. Well,
I don't know if it wasn't once a week. It wasn't once a week. And if somebody else like wasn't outside of the friendship, wouldn't have interceded, then I was cool with like never talking to you again. But I mean, it didn't pan out like that.
Well, we're not going to do tit for tat, but notice I didn't even know we had broke up.
You have to teach people how to treat you.
I have to hear what he's saying, because it was important to him that I'm dropping off the face of the earth, he kept saying, and don't say anything. And then I pop back up like everything is fine, but nothing was wrong. That just was the way that I was used to being by myself, and I was just used to just attaching.
No, you said nobody else had a problem with it, and I was like,
"Oh, you remember?"
I was like, you got some weird friends then, because ain't nobody just gonna pop up on me. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't pop in and pop out. Is your nickname Popcorn?
We were at a church function where Jesus was. None of this was going on. None of this was happening. Jesus was there with us. Jesus was there with us so much that the pastor herself brought us together and asked what was wrong with us.
No, yeah, this is the person that interceded, because up until that point, that was it. That was just it.
So I hurt his feelings. I apologize for hurting his feelings. I apologize for that. Right? We made it. Thank God we made it through. We're at 25 years right now. Right? Okay. So we're friends. This is how our relationship was. We're friends. We started hanging out a little bit more, but we're still friends. We still haven't made that connection where we like each other. We wasn't boyfriend and girlfriend. When we got to that point, let me tell you about this one time. So one time I was in college at this time. I think at this time I was working on a master's, and I used to drive all the way like 40 miles away. Is it 40 miles?
More like 25.
25. And he asked me what did I want to eat. And I told him, I gave him this list, a dream food list. I said I wanted T-bone steak, I wanted scallops, and I wanted carrots, right? And he said, when you get out of class, which when I got out of class was like 8 o'clock, it'd take me like 8:30 or 9 to get back. And we got out early too. He said, I cooked for you. I was like, okay. Let me tell you something. I have dated people before, and I've never ever had any man or male to cook for me before. That was the first time. And when I tell you that I remember that steak, glory to God. He told me he liked to cook, and it was very good. I was looking around his apartment to see where he ordered it from. Mm-hmm. Right? He cooked it. And ever since then, he's been cooking, and I love him for that. Oh my gosh. I was like, you are my friend. And so we were friends, right? We were friends, and then I would cook sometimes. And so I had 2 daughters at the time, and they did not like, well, one of them didn't like that I was spending time with him. And her name is Sesame, tried to have a conversation with me. She was like, I don't like that you're spending most of your time with Brother Tim. Like, she really tried to sit down and have a little corrected conversation with me. Like, everybody in my life started trying to correct everything I'm doing. Like, and here's the thing. When he would buy me flowers, like he would buy me so many flowers, right? Cessny is the one who would take the flowers when I bring them home and make bookmarkers out of them and give them to all of us in the house. So she kept the flowers alive. Like, the flowers were still living, right? Mm-hmm. And so, so that is a significant part. So remember that, okay? Because I'm going to come back to that. The reason why I'm going to come back to that is at some point we started dating. And when we started dating, when he would bring me flowers, he would bring her flowers too. And I thought that was beautiful. Because it pierced her heart. Oh my God, it pierced her heart. It brings tears to my eyes thinking about that.
One of the things that that drew me to you, because we were a blended family, and I had a daughter and a son as well, and for you to be able to love them and embrace them and treat them like you would treat your own kids was significant for me.
Okay.
And then there was like these kind gestures and stuff. I remember, like I said, we were friends, right? I was in the military, but I was in college, at the same time. I was going to school, or I may have been transitioning, but at some point anyway, I was in a class and I needed like $75 for a book for the class. I didn't have it or whatever. I needed the money for the book or whatever. And so we were just talking or whatever. Like, you gave it to me, and I just thought about how kind that is.
That's sweet
for
to think about.
Because once I was an only child too, and I've never been able to depend on anybody for anything, throughout my lifetime. Mm-hmm. And so I remember, I keep track of those kindnesses, mm-hmm. For things that things that people have done for me, mm-hmm. or whatever. But that was something that that made you get a gold star by your name.
Oh, isn't that special? Thank you, honey. You know what else I did for him? I don't know if we should say. I'm going to say it. I actually did his work.
You didn't do my work. Golly gee willikers, Batman.
Go around and tell it and shame the devil up in here.
You didn't do my work.
3 classes. And you know what? He got A's in those classes.
It was one class, art, music, theater appreciation.
Tim, it was more.
And it was
more than one class.
And the class that you do where you send.
I'm not gonna let you have that moment.
Where you send the work in. You did not do 3 classes for me. You did one class, and that was it. And the professor didn't even like. How do you get an A and I got a B in the class? The professor didn't like it.
Anyway, so then we moved on. Here it is. This is when we started liking each other. When we actually something happened that we decided we're gonna like each other. It was in November, right? All the kids, my 2 daughters, his son and daughter, we were at a function. We were at another member's house for Thanksgiving. And we're in Alaska, remember? And it's cold and it's snowing on him. Right? It's snowing on him. and that snow was hitting him just right. And all of a sudden he started glistening and lights start coming from him. And I was like, oh my God.
I had hair then too.
It was like, it was like, oh, it was just like, oh my God, this man is handsome. I was like, oh my God. And I just kept looking at him. Like, I was just looking at him because every time the snow would hit him, it would just turn into light and just leave. Just.
This was like on the Can You Feel It video, the Jackson 5, remember that? They were sprinkling all over.
It was like gold dust. It was like a surreal moment. Like, that is when was that?
November of 2000.
And I was like, oh my God, Brother Tim looks so different to me. I would call him Brother Tim. And so, is that when we started dating?
No.
Okay. But that's when I thought I felt something like a spark. Because that snow was glistening when it touched his chocolate skin on his head and stuff. And I was like, wow. And he was helping me to the car, putting everybody in the car, stuff like that. He was always been a gentleman, open the door when we go places. To this day, I never have to open the door. He's never changed.
Man, that sounds like Jesus to me. He don't never change. Jesus is my idol. You know, Jesus. That's my.
I didn't say that.
Who I aspire to be like. You know.
So we moved from there and to go where? He kept cooking for me. He kept trying to bait me. You know, in the Louisiana, you got to be careful when you eat from people in Louisiana. So he kept cooking, and I kept eating it. Like, and then he would call me early in the morning, like, you want to come eat breakfast with me? I just made something. And I was like, okay. At this point, I own my own daycare. I own my own daycare facility. I actually had 3 daycare facilities at one point. But I own my own daycare facility, and so I had the time in the mornings. I was flexible to leave in the mornings and in the afternoons. And so he was cooking like all day. Then it went from breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you know, like we're spending time, like we were spending time with each other. Like, he was taking up my time. And then he was taking up my time when I wasn't in his presence. I was on the phone with him, which was hard for me because I go to bed early. At that point, I was getting up at like 4.
I wasn't holding you hostage on the phone. You are still a hostage holder on the phone. You still hold hostages on the phone. That wasn't me.
I was like, Brother Tim, I have to go to bed. I have to get off the phone, Brother Tim. And you know, let me tell you something that he did while were we dating? When did we start dating?
I don't know. I have to hear the event. We started dating, I think probably officially at the beginning of 2001.
So we were friends for a total of
a good 4 years or whatever of being friends.
So what made this important to me is that he said he wanted to live a Christian life, and our relationship wasn't built on sex. It really was built on a friendship and us just being friends and learning who each other was. Also, when he would call me over there to eat, he would also read the scriptures to me, and I loved his voice. Like, he would read Psalms to me, different Psalms or different passages of the Bible, like seriously, and he would explain to me what he read and stuff like that. So he was ministering to me also. And I've never had anybody do that. Nobody would listen. It was like drop it like it's hot or whatever. Nobody was really taking the time to minister to me. Like, he was ministering to me. It was about knowing who I was, not what I can give him, but who I was and what I was to him. Mm-hmm. So that spoke volumes to me.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, integrity is a big thing, you know, for me. So, like, if I say I'm going to do something, then I can't rest until I get it done. So for me to meet a woman that has integrity, that ministered to me. And for a woman that is comfortable in her femininity. See, both of us can't be hard. You know what I'm saying? If I'm hard, your softness is what drew me in. I like girly women.
He would tell me that all the time. He would tell me that all the time. I love the way you look. I love the way you smell. He would smell me, which just kind of scared me sometimes. He was like, he would inhale me like, give an example how you doing. Now I'm used to it, but then I was like, or I'm at church getting ready to go to the tape ministry, And I used to wear these heels. I like shoes that strap up your leg. I don't know why. But anyway, he was like...
You didn't like them until I commented on it.
I had the shoe.
You had the pair. You ain't know.
So he said, you're trying to say I bought a lot of shoes like that after that?
You start buying every one of your shoes after that was the Roman crisscross up your leg.
Anyway, so let me tell you what this Christian brother Tim said to me one time at church. He said, your legs look like chicken wings and I can just bite them.
I ain't say nothing about that. I said, hey, Sister Lisa, your legs look like chicken today. That's what I said. I ain't say nothing about biting them. I ain't say nothing about none of that.
That's what
I said. That's what I said. You had on green. I ain't say nothing about biting your leg. Anyway. I said your legs looks like chicken. I was just giving you a compliment.
I used to wear stockings, and did you not like the way my legs felt?
I don't know. I didn't feel your leg. I didn't feel your leg. No, the lines is getting blurred. Like all your timelines is meshing. Now, at some point, I was feeling your legs and biting them and everything. But some of these timelines, like you getting everything, is meshing together.
Okay. So let me back. So he said my legs look like chicken wings. Okay. So here we are. We made it official. We talked, right? He said, "Well, how did we start dating, though? How did we?" I know we had a conversation.
We did have a conversation. We had a conversation
about what does it mean to us to date.
No, we had a conversation about we was hanging out a lot, and we was like had a discussion on where was this going.
Yeah.
And I think both of us were kind of gun shy on pulling the trigger on like giving something an official title or whatever because
I didn't want a title.
We were enjoying the journey and we didn't want to mess up the journey.
We didn't want to say girlfriend, boyfriend.
Nobody can ever tell me that God doesn't have a sense of humor, because at some point both of us said, man, I feel sorry for whoever married you. We both said that to each other, right?
I looked at him one time because he came from a very hard relationship, and it was horrible. The stuff it was embarrassing. And I was his friend, and I said, you're going to get married at some point, but I feel sorry for whoever that is, because they got to deal with that. Baby, I believed at the time God wasn't calling me for it because I was still bout it.
I don't know if God hadn't intervened at that particular moment that he did. It was like a revival service at church, and a prophet came, like a real prophet.
Oh yeah, and he didn't know us.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He didn't know us. But like I was helping him,
I was ushering.
I was helping him, like holding his books and stuff that he was,
armor bearing.
Yeah, helping. I was helping him or whatever, and then he pointed to a child in the audience, and he was like, "Whose child is this?"
Which was
Katie.
Katie.
And he started describing her heart's
desire,
which was a family, a table, a dad, a whole family. He was like, "Whose child is this?" or whatever. And then he was like, you come.
Well, first of all, because you know what? Listen, I already been dealt with enough prophets. I didn't care if they called my name. I was gonna act like it wasn't my name.
He was like,
so he asked who child it was. I did not move.
All right.
Deal with her, sir. She's the one who's up there. Deal with that 3-year-old. How old was she?
I don't know. Maybe 2001, somewhere in there. Had to be 2001. And he was like, you. He was like, God is wanting you. God is saying that you two should join your resources.
And nobody in the church knew we were dating. That's the thing about it. So it wasn't something that we talked about. It was a secret. We kept it on a personal level.
Yeah, because we weren't really sure. Both of us had came out of these situations, and we were just trying to figure it out and trying to test the waters to see if
right.
If this person is who they say they are. Can I deal with this? Is this something?
Can I deal with this?
Yeah.
And all that came with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so after he said that, join your resources together, he took our hands and he put our hands together.
The thing of it is that this was something like God ordained.
Yes.
And so in any relationship, like when things don't look picturesque the way that you want them to or whatever, like there has to be a point where you can revert back to and be like, God put this together. You know, this was truly something, and it's been said many times since then. Like people that came, it was like, this is something that was ordained in heaven. And so even during the times where things were rough or whatever, we always had that to be able to stand on.
Yeah.
And I've gone back to God many times, and I was like, God, that's your daughter. You said that you put us together, and I was like, if you want this to work, you're gonna have to work it out, because I'm done.
See how you act?
No,
see, I
I'm
never
saying-
went to God like that.
I tell him.
You know what my prayer was? I was
remind
like, God, this is him. You want me to stay or you want me to go? Stay, go. Go, stay. Which one? One time, I was planning on leaving, right? I was planning on leaving. I wasn't even going to make a big deal about it. I was just going to get on a plane and go, right? And he used to work up north, meaning he worked on a pipeline, right? And I said, you know, I'm going to go visit some friends. He called me and said, no, you're not. You're trying to leave me. And I was like, God is snitching on me? That was funny.
Yeah.
And I didn't. So after we got our prophecy, he was already ready. He was head over heels. He was so in love with moi.
This is
He
not.
went and bought a ring.
This is not accurate.
He would tell me all night that he was going to get a platinum ring. It was going to be diamonds.
I told you all night.
He showed me it was a marquee.
I didn't tell you all night.
He showed me pictures of what he was going to get.
I didn't show you
He talked to
pictures.
me about it. And
We were friends and we was talking, and we was on the phone talking, and I said, if I ever get married again, I am going to buy. This is the type of ring that I'm going to
I want
buy.
everyone to take note of what I said. My first wedding ring, was it platinum, white gold platinum? Was it platinum?
That's what I said.
Was it a marquee cut?
It was. That's what I said.
Perspective is everything. Remember, I told you early on, I'm giving you the facts.
And I said, I'm gonna tell the truth.
I'm giving you the facts, the perspective. So he bought me a ring, right?
I didn't buy it for you. I bought a ring.
Now,
And
you
I
know
had-
what? What
and
we're
I
not
had
gonna do is
a-
let Satan enter into this, this love story.
And I had.
Who you bought the ring for,
It hit
Brother
me.
Tim? Who you bought the ring for?
I don't know.
Who did you buy the ring for, Brother Tim? Who did you buy the ring for?
I don't know.
He bought a ring. He bought a ring. He bought a nice platinum marquise cut. I found it in his apartment.
Why would you be snooping around somebody's apartment?
I
Tell
don't
me
know
that.
how I found it, but I found it. The Lord showed me where it was.
The Lord didn't show you that.
How did I find it then? How did I find it? I found the ring. And I told him, I don't know how he even found out I found it. How did you find out I found it?
I don't know, but I took it back.
He took it back and he got another one.
I didn't get another one.
I have the ring.
I got the same one, but I took it back.
Took it back and got the same ring. He took it back. So anyway, we're dating at this point, right? We're dating. And life is great. We talk every day. We laugh. We do, this is us. We're laughing. We're acting like brothers and sisters. At some point, he asked me not to call him Brother Tim anymore.
I said, yeah, we're a little bit more than that. Don't you think?
He asked me not to call him Brother Tim anymore. I was programmed. I was like, why not, Brother Tim? He's like, I'm not your brother. So we decided we wanted to get married, and he told me that I can do whatever I wanted. I can have whatever I like. You remember how many bridesmaids we had? And I didn't have a limit. So my colors were periwinkle. It's like a pretty purplish blue and white. We planned it out. We wanted all the children involved so they'll know that they're a part of this. Mm-hmm. That this love story involved them, Sean, Sierra, Cessny, Katie, Caleb. So we were a blended family, and there's three. We're the Brady Bunch. We wind up having three of each, right? And so we paced it when everybody was there, could be a part. So it was beautiful. And the funniest thing that I remember about the story is when we were getting ready to go on our honeymoon, Rashawn was how old?
2002. So he was 6.
And he was like, Mom, I get it. Now I know why they call it honeymoon. Because you make honey. You get it? Bees. You're like busy bees and honey. And I'm thinking, I totally missed it. And I was like, yeah.